Give people a podcast.
Yeah. For Christmas, slip all the women in your life a piece of paper that says, go listen to Nestled Podcast.
It'll be happiness once a week for the entire year through, and it costs you $0.
Right. And leave us a review.
And leave us a review, which is what you can give to us.
Hey, I'm April. I'm Bayleigh, and this is the Nestled Podcast.
Here we chat about how to help design meet purpose. Our hope is that you will find inspiration to live more intentionally.
So join us each week as we let you peek in our nest.
And as always, the door will be open.
Happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
Happy Thanksgiving. We hope that you are enjoying time with your family and friends this week and nestling in.
Whenever we're listening to this, April is going to be in California.
California knows how to party.
I'll still be right here in Mobile at my house, but that's okay too. Because you know what we're going to do next week? That's right, because you know what we're going to do next week? Nothing. Except eat.
And you know what we're going to do? Drive.
Yeah. Your kids are going to remember that forever, though. And they're such good ages for a road trip. Everybody's potty trained.
Yeah.
That's the main thing.
Nurses anymore.
Oh, yeah. You don't have to stop every few hours to feed a baby. It's going to be a big difference from your last road trip, probably.
Yeah, our last big road trip, Titus was 6 months old.
Oh, my goodness.
Maybe 9 months old. 6 months, yeah.
So Gideon's never done one.
No, not a long road trip.
I bet he's pumped.
He's really excited, except we told them that this was the biggest part of their Christmas presents, and he does not like that. He has mentioned multiple times that he did not agree to that. But I am just trusting and believing that his heart's going to change when he sees California and the coast and then the Grand Canyon. How can you think that presents are better than the Grand Canyon?
That is a good experience trip for sure. The hard part is going to be that it's a month before Christmas. So trying to remind, you're going to have to have pictures.
The good
on
thing
Christmas
is,
morning.
Yeah, the good thing is, and what we will talk about later in this episode, is the way that we do gifts. We can still do the same gifts that we do every year, but they just won't be as big of gifts. And so our kids will actually get the same number of gifts that they get every year, which is not a large number. They just won't be as substantial as we've done in the past.
So today's episode, we are going to be talking about gift giving. And we initially were going to do an episode where we linked a lot of our favorite companies and ideas for gifts. And then the more we talked about it, we always want to encourage everyone to live simply. And this is how we actually do Christmas. And so we thought, instead of just giving people a bunch of links they can click and we get a little kickback or whatever, not that there's anything wrong with that because we all want to make some money. But let's try and help people not go completely backwards and lose all the progress they've made throughout the year of trying to minimize and declutter and get rid of things.
Yes. And so if we were to summarize what we're going to talk about, I guess it would be a minimalist Christmas, right?
Right. Which is so funny because we've said a number of times that we both have maximalist tendencies. So, I still never really feel comfortable calling myself a minimalist.
No, I would say aspiring.
There you go. Yeah.
An aspiring minimalist Christmas.
Yep.
So we're going to give just some things that have helped us along the way and then kind of share with you guys the way that we have chosen to do gifts with our children in our homes. And then also just some things to think about as far as doing gifts for other people outside of your family, outside of your immediate family.
But for those of you who hear these ideas and still want some actual gift suggestions, we will be posting an all Amazon gift guide on our blog in the coming days, so make sure you watch for that. And so I guess just to jump straight in, we'll talk about the kids first.
Okay.
So April, do you want to share the gifts that we do in our houses? Because I know that we both kind of do the same thing.
Sure. When our kids were really young when we just had Elijah, and we were kind of wrestling back and forth about how are we going to do Christmas. And for, Santa, no Santa, we don't do an elf. We, like what? I cannot have anything else in my house making a mess. But when we started out, we were trying to figure out how to make Christmas not so consumeristic and about all of the presents. And we really wanted to focus on Christ's birth and to put a lot more emphasis on Advent and leading up to Christmas and the excitement that builds in that. But then still knowing that our Father and the picture that we get to give of Him giving us good gifts. And I don't think that that's what Christmas is about, but I think that there are a lot of things that can be redeemed for good. And so we started out, we did 3 gifts for a little while because Jesus was brought 3 gifts by the wise men. It was like really just reaching for whatever. But I came across it's probably been 6 years ago. I came across a blog post, and someone was saying that they did something you want, something you need, something to wear, and something to read. And we just adopted that as our gift philosophy for our family, and how we would give to our kids. It's also depending on the year and depending on the budget. Lance and I do that for each other as well. Then there are years that the budget doesn't allow, and neither of us get our feelings hurt. We just make an agreement beforehand.
Yeah.
We still do stockings, but that's how we base our gifts for the kids: want, need, wear, and read.
Yeah, we do the same thing. We're a little different than April in that we didn't start there. So if you're someone who's listening and you're like, but I've done big Christmases for my kids in the past, it's not too late to find a way to rein it in a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So what we always did was we set a budget, and we always stayed within the budget, but I'm a bargain shopper, and so what I found myself doing was getting as many things as I could within that budget, and it was way too much, and that was before we had all the family gifts come in, and it was just ridiculous. And then we had 2 kids, and then it was really ridiculous. And so we adopted this. Our kids were 4 and 5, and they had no idea last year, truly, that they got less.
Right.
Christmas morning went just as it always does, and they were just as excited as they always are. Now, we did talk about it ahead of time.
Right.
They knew how many they were going to get. But, yeah, I don't know. I was kind of nervous, and I think Justin might have been a little bit nervous, too, that they were going to be a little bit disappointed, and they weren't at all. So.
And that's one thing I will say. I think that it manages expectations, because some of my... embarrassingly enough, some of my most, vivid Christmas memories of unhappy Christmases was I was this bratty little 13-year-old who wanted something that they didn't get. And I had these expectations, and my mom loves to give gifts, and she had done huge Christmases for us every year, but then as more and more kids came into our family, they couldn't do it, and they couldn't afford it. And then I had expectations that weren't met, and then I was really disappointed. And so, even in that, I think that's a great thing for all of us across the board, is to kind of set the expectations with our kids for what Christmas is about, but also kind of giving them a little bit of insight into where we're coming from.
Right.
Now, if you think, if you do Santa and you do the make-believe stuff with your kids, it's a little bit harder, because then they're asking Santa. So technically you can't be like, well, Santa's budget says you're not getting that for Christmas. But,
yeah. Last year we did the 4 gifts, and then we did let each child ask Santa for 1 gift.
Well, and I say we do those 4. Our kids do get Christmas pajamas on Christmas Eve.
Yeah, we do that too.
So actually, it's starting to add up. And I will say this, though. The want, need, wear, read. My kids know that those are the 4 things. But you can be really creative with it. There are times that, our wear has been something like a watch or new sunglasses, and then the need at times has been new school shoes or, something like that. So it can be something really practical, but you can also kind of figure out where to place those things where it's like fits your budget, but also where you kind of sneak different things in at different times.
And I found that that's a really fun challenge. I've been thinking since probably July. I started a list on my phone for all three of my girls with their want, need, wear, read, and have been trying to figure out what we're doing. And so just a few examples of what that can look like. For the need this year, one of our daughters wears glasses. If you have kids or even yourself wear glasses and you don't know about Zenni Optical, it's so affordable. She has 3 pairs of glasses that all 3 pair cost under $100. And so we'll get her a new pair of glasses for Christmas and it'll be about $20. But she needs another pair, she thinks. Could also be a want, but her want is always a toy. But she'll be really excited to open that. And then they're also running a Black Friday sale through November 25th where you can get 20% off your entire order. And we will put a link in the show notes that will give you $5 off. I'm not positive of whether or not the $5 will apply to the 20% off, so you'll just have to try it and see. Another daughter of ours has really needed a weighted blanket, and I was able to find one 50% off on Amazon, and that is going to be so beneficial to her.
Yeah.
And then the baby is going to get a bicycle seat. So we can bicycle to Miss April's new house on our work days.
There were years that whenever there was a baby, their need usually was like diapers, wipes,
Yeah.
something like that. But also with Reed, we've kind of played around with that too. It doesn't have to be just a storybook or something like that. I actually think this year, Lydia, plug your ears because she listens to this. But we've talked about that. I haven't done these in a while. My kids love the picture books that you can make online, and we write them a letter throughout it. And we've done that before, and we haven't done it in a while. And I thought that would be a neat like switch up for their read this year. So just a book about their last year, and so I think that we might do that. So it's something that you can play with every year and try to kind of figure out like what ways you can make it fun and exciting, and also to fit your budget, because the want can be something as small as a new record for the record player that you're asking for from someone else.
Right.
Or it can be something big. There have been years that our kids, we put their want together and they got a trampoline or they got a swing set or something like that.
That's a great idea about the book. I may steal that.
Yeah.
My kids
feel
will love
free.
that. Yeah. And you can always get a code, like a Shutterfly code. You can usually Google and find.
Yeah, especially around the holidays. There are usually like 50% off codes, really easy to find.
Okay, so let's talk through, you're going to minimize down, well, I shouldn't say you are. If you choose to do this, you minimize down to these 4 gifts. You also have to remember that most of us have family that buy our kids gifts. And so, as people are asking you what to get for them, be creative and tell them your ideas.
Yes. Bayleigh mentioned earlier how she keeps a list for her kids for even the things she's given them. And I would say just always have a running list in your phone. So when someone asks, you have a purposeful list of what they can get your kids. That's not, because what will happen otherwise is whoever asks me, if I say, I don't know, they like Spider-Man, then they're going to get another Spider-Man toy. Maybe they already have the same one or whatever. Or they're going to ask the kid and they're going to tell them some toy that they probably are never going to play with. But we try to, as a matter of fact, every year before Christmas, we go and we let them walk all of the aisles of Target and play with every single toy that's in there and push all the buttons and put them back and look and read. And as they get older, they can kind of dig around in the stuff. But then at the end of that, a lot of times they're already over those toys. And so you can kind of make a running list of the things that they still show interest in, but also pay attention and get to know people.
Yeah.
And get to know your kids and know things that they would actually enjoy long term.
Yeah, I think that knowing your kids really comes into play here. I love to give gifts, and I love to give gifts that I know the person is going to, or at least that I think the person is going to love and enjoy. And so don't be somebody who goes on Facebook and says, what do I get my 8-year-old son? Like, I don't know your 8-year-old son. What is he like?
Mm-hmm.
You know, a lot of times the people who are buying the gifts for your kids don't know them as well as you do. And so that's why they're asking you, because they want to get them something that they're going to use and enjoy. One thing that I know that we do at our house, and April still does this with her younger boys, is give some costumes.
Mm-hmm.
Tell people what costumes they would enjoy. If you do it before Halloween, you can get them when they're on sale, but this is after Halloween, so.
Yeah, every year, I started a few years ago. I was in Walmart and they had all of their costumes 90% off. And it just clicked that as much as my boys liked to dress up, I called my mom and I said, hey, this is a great gift that my boys would love. These costumes are literally $2 and $3 a piece. And I also said, put them in a Rubbermaid bin. I want you to buy a bin for them and put all of them in there, because now it's a thing. Every year, whenever I see the costumes go on clearance, I call my mom and I say they're on clearance, and she does a new bin for the boys of costumes, and we throw all the other ones away. And that's one of the things that we would say is to kind of keep the minimalist mindset, is to always be thinking of how, when things are coming in, what can you cycle out?
Mm-hmm.
And that's a great way to do that.
Another suggestion that you can cycle out is ask people to get them a bin of art supplies.
Yes.
Or even go together with another family member to get a bin of art supplies, and then get rid of all the broken crayons, get rid of all the dried out markers. I mean, whenever we get a new bin that comes in, we literally just toss all of the old stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Or else it just all piles up and it's just such a mess. So.
Right. And same thing. I am pretty specific, especially with my mom, but I'm like, put it in a bin for me.
Mm-hmm.
And that bin's going to be cracked or broken probably by next year anyway.
Mm-hmm.
But it's always something. Even my big kids still get use out of art supplies, pens and pencils and crayons. And, that's something that I still like to color,
Right. Another idea is to remember you can suggest experiences. And sometimes you may have to encourage, especially if it's grandparents, that look, I'm going to give you the suggestion, and this may not get the biggest response on Christmas morning or at the Christmas party, but this is something that the kids are going to enjoy all year long. So it may be like a yearly zoo membership, or a bowling alley membership, or a swim club membership for the entire family.
Right. Or some kind of lessons. My kids right now, I've got one wanting to take piano lessons. I've got one wanting to take tumbling classes. Those are the kind of things that, even if you just pay for 1 month, like, that's something that is, I know that for grandparents, that's like, I don't want to do that.
Yeah. But it's very helpful.
But it's extremely helpful. Mm-hmm. And another thing that is I would say, I would encourage people who have grandchildren or nieces and nephews, is to do a joint gift where something, even helping the parents get something that maybe they wouldn't be able to do otherwise, and go together and get something for kids. Some kind of outdoor toy or something like that.
My girls were really wanting a playhouse or a swing set this year, and so I went on Facebook. My parents had already told me that they would pay to redo whatever I found. So I wanted to redo. I didn't want a new one. I wanted to redo it because it's a fun project for me. And so I went on Facebook and asked anybody if they were looking to sell theirs. And a cousin of mine said, hey, you can have our playhouse and our swing set. And so my parents are paying for all of the supplies that we need to make it something that our kids are going to love. And they're going to enjoy that for years and years and years.
Yes. And if anyone has hung in here this long that is single, a lot of these things I think are pretty applicable to you too. I think having a purposeful gift, thinking of, is it something that I'm going to use long term? Do I have anywhere to put it? And what am I going to cycle out when I bring this new stuff in? Like, those are things to help keep things from just spiraling out of control, because I can remember the stress of, I try so hard to keep things organized, and then Christmas happens, and then all of a sudden I feel like I'm starting from square one, especially if you've been listening to this for a while and you've been trying to get rid of things and you've been very purposeful with what you've brought into your home. Christmas can really set you back. And so you can go into the holidays already with a plan and a purpose behind everything that you are going to allow into your home.
I would say, too, if you're single or even if you have kids, but just when people are buying presents for you and they ask what you want, tell them the things that will be useful to you. Like, I think that it's really easy as adults to just say, oh, anything is fine. But I started a few years ago saying, you know, I need new shoes. A gift card to a shoe store would be great. Or I have no clothes that fit because I just had a baby. So a gift card to this store would be very helpful. And my Christmases have been very beneficial to me the last few years. Another thing that Justin and I always ask for if we don't have anything specific that we need at the moment is date nights. Last year, every single person who asked Justin what does he want for Christmas, he would say, just gift cards we can use for date nights. And so we got movie tickets and restaurant gift cards, and someone gave us a Visa gift card and said use this on whatever kind of date you want. And so that's another just easy suggestion of something that took up no room in our house. But literally, we used those dates. Those are the only dates we went on this year. We didn't go on a ton of dates, but we didn't pay for any of them. And so I don't know if it would have been in the budget this year for us to go anywhere if we hadn't done that last Christmas.
Yeah. And I also think that, you know, if people are asking, they actually genuinely want to know. Currently, as I am sitting here, I'm covered up with an Afghan that I asked my grandmother to make me for Christmas when she asked me what I wanted. And I asked for a specific color that I knew would work with the design of my house and all of those kind of things, because my grandmother can do that. And she was happy to do it. But if I hadn't said anything, she wouldn't have done it. And if she had done it, she would have done it in a color that I didn't want or something, you know. So just be specific if you do have something in mind. And this is something that I'll keep forever. You know?
And treasure it. Yeah. And to be clear, we're saying this as if people ask you. We're not saying everybody go on Facebook and just like announce what you want for Christmas. You don't have to offer the information until somebody says, what do you want?
And often my answer is, I honestly need nothing. Please don't get me anything. And I genuinely mean that.
But there are some people who you know are going to buy for you anyway.
Yeah. So I think that we can just be purposeful in that. And it's always better to plan so that you don't get stuck in a sticky situation of clutter. And all the tangled web.
And all those gift ideas that I just said that we've asked for ourselves, those are good gift ideas to give to others too.
Yeah, I think that, and that's the kind of the next thing that we were going to talk about is about gift giving. And I think that comes back to the thing that we always need to be thoughtful in the gifts that we give, because it can be the worst about, oh my gosh, we have to go to this Christmas party tonight. We'll stop at Target on our way and pick something up. But if you know you're going to have those things, go ahead and be thoughtful about it and be creative, because no one else wants junk that they don't need or aren't really going to use either.
And I know there may be a lot of people out there that are in the same position as us, where our budget for presents that we're giving to people is not super large. And a lot of times the people who we're buying presents for, they have money to buy themselves whatever they actually want. And so we try to be very thoughtful in things that we don't necessarily spend much money on, but that we think is going to be something that the people are going to really enjoy having for years to come.
Yeah. Something that's meaningful. And even simple things like what Bayleigh is saying of date nights. that's something that we've done for my parents before that they've also done for us. But that's always something that any couple can appreciate, I think, is what they need for a date night. But I think you just have to plan ahead. And we live in this fabulous time of Amazon Prime, so you don't even have to think that much ahead.
Right.
You can get just about anything in 2 days on your doorstep. What a time to be alive.
Right. Another thing is, if you're listening and you're someone who is your kid, you've launched your kids and you're hearing this and you're going, I can't afford Christmas gifts for my grandchildren and my kids and the in-laws. Look, we hear you. I can't, it blows my mind how much money people must spend each year to make people feel special in their lives. You know what I mean? So last year, one thing that my dad did for all of us is he wrote me and my siblings and all of our spouses a letter letting us know what he appreciated about us. And that will be one of the things that we will all treasure forever and ever and ever. Yeah. And he got us other things too, which were really nice, but the letter means so much more. And so if you're a parent, give that gift to your kids. Like, let them know, say the things that you want to say to them while you can still say them.
Yeah. And if you're a broke college student or a young parent who has no money, you can write letters. And you can also make things. I mean,
right.
It doesn't cost a lot to bake a batch of gooey, what's it called, chess cake, and cut that up. I mean, there have been a lot of years that's all I could afford to give to their teachers was just like a little bag with a little treat that I made at home, or a wreath that I threw together from some scraps,
Yeah, a few years ago, I made all the grandparents silhouettes of all the grandkids. I figured out how to make silhouettes. We had no money to spend.
Right.
So my budget was the cost of the frame. And I made silhouettes.
For anyone local, Southeastern Salvage has frames for $4.
Yeah, you can get those very
all
inexpensive.
Different sizes. Yeah, I just think that you kind of have to step outside of the box a little bit sometimes and try to think, okay, what can I do that would show that I'm thinking about you and I do care about you? And maybe I don't have any money, but I have a lot of love.
And I would love nothing more, I'm sure, down the road than to get a letter from my adult children telling me the things that they appreciate about me as a mom. Because we just pour ourselves into the children.
That's right. Another thing that I would say is I feel like it's okay sometimes to look for opportunities to give and that be enough. There was a Christmas that we had gotten a gift catalog for an organization where they were saying things you could buy for people in other countries, and it was ultimately like farm animals and stuff. And my kids decided they wanted to buy a cow. And so that Christmas, we asked everyone to give them money towards their cow that they wanted to purchase for a family in, I don't even remember where. And people gave so much pushback to that. They did not want to give money for the cow because they wanted the kids to get the gift, to be able to see their faces, and at the end of the day, they so much more remember being able to buy a cow than the sweater that you would have given them or whatever it might be. So I think all of us sometimes the gift giving can come from a selfish place. And so I think if you're giving something that, just be gracious and be a cheerful giver, whatever it might be.
I hope that as you guys listen to this, we know you hear our hearts that we're not telling you how to do this. We're just giving you suggestions of how we manage our Christmas. And maybe it's a different perspective than the way you've thought of your Christmas gift giving in the past. So take what you want from it. And we hope that you find some of it helpful.
Yeah, I think that it's the same advice that we try to give to ourselves, but also to share with you guys every week. And that is purposeful living. And we want to be so purposeful with our homes. We want to be purposeful with what we bring into our homes, but also we want to be purposeful with everything that we've been given and blessed with, and part of that is our resources um, and and our children and the time that we have with them and how we can do things differently, because are we going to get the results that we want from our children? And ultimately, at the end of the day, I want my children to love the Lord, and I want them to love their neighbors. And I think that there are things that we can do along the way that help to encourage that. And so if I can use Christmas and gift giving as a way to point them to love Him and to love other people and to see people, then let's do that, you know?
Mm-hmm. And if you're worried and you're thinking, I just can't do this because my kids would pitch a fit on Christmas morning, then like maybe you need to do this. Maybe this is a good start.
Yeah.
So, because we all have to start somewhere.
Yeah, just figure out what that looks like for you, and your family, and how you can be intentional with this season.
So we love you guys. We hope that
we're so thankful for you.
We're so thankful for you. We hope that you and your family spend some time over the next few days thinking of all the things that you are thankful for.
Yes.
And if this is your first holiday season without a loved one, we are thinking about you, and we know that it's hard. And so we hope you will give yourself some grace and take the time to grieve, but that you also find some joy in the coming days. So.
And be sure to say to the people that you spend this time with that you're thankful for them and what you're thankful for, and put words to those things that you have in your heart, and don't let those days slip by without saying it. So,
all right, you guys.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving.
And we are thankful that you came and joined us today and took a peek in our nest.
We hope that you'll come back next week. As always, the door will be open.